enjoy your session about art and authoritarianism.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
This is going to be cozy. Okay, I'm Leah. I use she, they pronouns. I'm the co-artistic director of Wanderlust Productions. You can read about us online. I'm not going to go into all the detail except to say we are a community-driven theater. We make new plays based on the stories of real people. And we have this really cool thing that you can find brochures, not brochures, this is a free map. It's called Hidden Heralds. Really short audio plays embedded via QR codes all over St. Paul. There's free maps, they're outside. That's me. Your turn.
I'm David O'Fallon, and I've currently, quote-unquote, retired, which is RE-tired. You put on a new set of all-weather radials because I'm so pissed off at where we are as a country and a nation right now. But there ain't no backing off or sitting down. That's it. So my last gig, I was the president of the Humanities Center. Before that, I was the president of McPhail Center for Music. Before that, I was the exec director of the Perpich Center for Arts Education. And pertinent to our discussion today, I spent 4 years at the Kennedy Center and 4 years at the National Endowment for the Arts when Mapplethorpe was the issue. And we had Jesse Helms bringing over with his staff photographs that Mapplethorpe had taken. And he said, if we hold these up on the floor of the Senate, the National Endowment for the Arts is dead. He's probably right. And that got so contentious, we literally had armed guards at National Council meetings. The endowment changed a bunch of its guidelines then, and I was in the middle of a lot of that. I thought that was maybe the peak of our cultural wars, but now we are where we are. That's why we're having this event tonight. And I ain't sitting down. No way. So thank you for being here. Let's see what we can all do together.
So the first thing we're going to do, okay, this is going to be interactive. Don't get comfortable. Welcome to the conversation about art versus authoritarianism.
Yeah.
Do not get comfortable. The first thing we're going to do is map the room a little. We're going to position ourselves according to how we're feeling right now and who we are a little bit. And then that will set us up to break ourselves into subgroups, breakout groups. So I'm setting your expectations around not getting attached to those chairs. We're going to have you get up, we're going to have you move around, we're going to have you count off, and then doing that is going to put you in little subgroups. You're going to stay in the room as subgroups while you get instructions for what to do in those subgroups. So once you get in the subgroups, don't just go running off and gossiping about theater. Stay, and David will explain what we're doing. But we want to map the room so we can kind of see who we are, see what we're all about, and then we'll get our instructions.
Yeah.
So this is, in fact, an interactive relational simulation.
Exactly. It is a simulation. You will have choices that you need to make and live with as long as you're in the room. Okay?
Yeah.
It's kind of a, like, see where we are and see what we need to do to help each other to keep going. So.
Yeah, because we're not experts. We are experts in being clear-eyed about what is the situation we're in.
Yep.
And what might we do in response, right? So, okay. So I want to invite you to put your notebooks and things and spillable items down and stand up. And this is going to be tricky with all of these chairs in this room. I want to invite you to take a deep breath and put on your most patient, space-oriented self. And we're going to put ourselves on an axis. This is going to be tight. You're going to put yourself on an axis this way first, and then once you position yourself on this axis, no, I take it back. We're going to go this way first. And then once you find your place on this axis first, then you're going to stay there and find your position on this axis. I know it sounds really weird. If you did Cartesian graphing in algebra, you know what I'm talking about. If you didn't, you're like, what is going on? Yeah. It will make more sense soon. So here's what I want to invite you to think about while you are standing is, in this moment, knowing whatever you know now, from reading the newspaper, from talking to friends, from paying attention to whatever extent you do, how concerned are you? 0 to 1, I don't know, it might not affect me. There's some really upsetting things going on in the world. Say 2 to 3, okay, no, it's getting serious. It could affect someone I care about, right? 4 to 5, it's definitely going to affect me, but maybe it'll turn around, maybe it'll be okay. 6 to 7, I'm kind of freaking out. This is really quite dangerous. It's going to affect me, it's going to affect people I love, it's going to affect my ability to be in the world. 9 to 10, oh my God, what is happening? I'm terrified. So I want to invite you, I know it's tight and it's weird because there's chairs, but just put yourself on this line in the room. Stand where you are. From 0 to 10, about how much is the authoritarianism that's happening in the world today affecting you and freaking you out? Less freaked out over here, more freaked out over there. Well, the whole room's going to tip over in a minute.
Let me get out of the way of the tins here.
Yeah, Dave and I are not.
Ken's at the wall.
Going through the wall.
I'm actually at a
Come back, Ken.
Give me a jackhammer.
Okay, so now, because the room is a little bit tipped, what I want to say is everybody who's a 5, come over here and let's rank ourselves from 5 to 10.
Okay.
Just to, we can spread out. So if you're a 5, if you're a 10.
Sound about.
Great. And for anybody who just walked in, we are rating ourselves on how freaked out we are about authoritarianism. 5 freaked out, 10 freaked out. Okay, now that you're here, what I want to ask you to do is try to keep your position relative to that side of the room and that side of the room. And now I want to invite you to move that way if you're a Gen Z. Somewhere right about here if you're like a millennial Y. Somewhere over here if you're a Gen X. And over here if you're a boomer.
Okay, boomer. Okay.
Doing AX too?
Is this X?
This is X.
Okay.
This is X right here.
By the Gen Xers. Get me out of here. I'm pretty sure that I'm just on the edge, right? So I just need a...
Cusp.
Okay, so
I'm on the
this is
cusp.
mapping the room. This is a fun technique for dividing groups and seeing who's in the room. So if I was going to arbitrarily divide you, say, into fourths, right? Which is what we would be doing if this was an XY axis and you were a little dot on a cute algebraic graph. I'd be drawing a line right there. You, sir, in the blue shirt, maybe on that side of it. You there in the white t-shirt, maybe that side of it, right? And then I might divide, right, just the other side of you in the red sweatshirt. Andrew, you're on that side of it, maybe. No, maybe not. Maybe Matt, Andrew, Ken, you're on this side of it. Kat, you're on that side of it, right? And then it goes right back. So what that means now is there's 4 quadrants, right? So what is this quadrant? This quadrant is old people not too worried. I'm going to be real sloppy with my labels. It's for humor. I'm not making any judgments. This quadrant, old people freaking out, right? That quadrant, young people not that worried. There's hardly any of you. Young people freaking out over there, right? Okay, so now within these groups, and this is how we create a bunch of breakout groups that have a little bit of diversity of perspective built into them, right? So what I want to invite is quadrant 1, old, not too worried. Can you clump together a little? Forget your position.
For safety?
Yeah, for safety. Old people freaking out, clump for safety. Yeah.
One.
Young people not too worried. My tall friend, will you please be on the young and not so worried? Yes. I know. Well, we moved. Perry's on 0
Well,
now.
I'm freaked out now that I'm in the old people category. It's really...
It's very nebulous.
You might answer these questions differently on another day. Today, this is who you are, okay? And then young people freaking out, make yourself a clump, okay? Great. Now what we're going to do is I need to count how many are in each group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So, let's see, the 2 of you all the way in the back row there, will you move over into that group? Even the 3 of you, if you're a group, go move over there. Yeah, great. So now that's 11 and 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2. Derek, are you in this? No. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ah, shoot. 2 of you have to come back. Great. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You are going to need to go with them. Okay. Close enough. So now what I want you to do is count off. 1, 2,
3,
4,
5,
6,
7,
8, 9.
great. And now this group.
1,
2, 3,
4,
5,
6, 7,
8. Great. Now that group.
1, 2, 3,
4, 5,
6, 7, 8.
And this group.
1, 2,
3,
4, 5.
6.
7, 8, 9, 10.
Oh, Kat, you can't be a 10. Can you be a 9?
Sure.
Well, no. So the point of this is when you go to your breakouts, I want all the 1s to go together, I want all the 2s together, I want all the 3s, 4s, 5s. So we will have 9 breakout groups of approximately 4 each, right? Oh, okay, so do something so you don't forget your number. You could just hold the finger, write it down. But now I would like you to sit back down and hear what it is you're going to do once you're in your group.
Well, I heard you singing earlier. I'm playing with you.
I'll just hand out.
Okay, everybody, if you grab a seat, just a couple minutes of context and overview of what we're going to do. So probably many of you have done simulations before. If you've done a simulation, raise your hand. Raise your hand. No, I have a few. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. We're going to ask you, for the purposes of this afternoon's simulation, to, in the group that you're in, assume that you are a community-based arts organization. It's not defined as performance or theater or dance. It's a community-based arts organization, confronting the world as you know it right now. And then there will be 4 scenarios, 4 choices of what are we going to do knowing what we know. Let me just fuel that up just a wee bit. So here's a recent executive order from he who shall not be named, entitled, Restoring Truth and Sanity to American History. Executive Order 14253 tasks Vice President Vance, in his capacity on the Smithsonian Board of Regents, with removing, quote, improper ideology from Smithsonian exhibits. Mandates reinstatements of monuments removed since 2020 for being ideologically driven. Prohibits funding for exhibits or programs that degrade American values, divide Americans based on race, or promote ideologies consistent with our federal policy, and more. You get the drift. When I was the president of the Humanities Center, we had some indications of this beginning to happen, and I recently read a piece by a guy who said basically they are expunging American history and controlling the stories that we will be allowed to tell ourselves. For me, the reason that I developed this for a grad class at the U of M. I developed this because for me this is, I'm going to use an academic term, fucking real. I can unpack that if it needs unpacking, you know. So our gathering this afternoon is to put out 4 choices, which I created. They have historical references, each one, which you'll see, but you're going to know more. You are bringing your own experience, your own lived experience, your history, your life, all to this. Bring all of that. But for the purposes of the simulation, that can all be there. But just take yourself into the role of, we're a community arts organization. We have to make some choices, and you will have to make a choice. You have to choose one of the scenarios. Even if you don't all agree with it, you have to say, I can live with it. So we want you to take some time considering the choices and considering questions like, which of your values really get carried forward by the choice that you make? Who's included? Who's left out? What would you stop doing? What would you start doing? The implications of the choice. And let the choice come from your gut and your values as well as your knowledge and your real experience. You guys all create work. I got to tell you, my heart is in this room right now because you create work. And for me, that is in itself an incredibly patriotic act of resistance in our future. So these simulations are designed to stir things up, not to answer a lot of questions, but to hope sharpen some choices that I believe we're going to have to make, and that some people are making right now. Okay? So,
Want me to pass these out?
yeah, we're going to give you the scenarios. We want you to do two things. Take a minute to read each one quietly to yourself, and then we're going to send you out into groups. So take some time, read them, think about what it means to you, then we're going to separate you into groups, and then as a group, the format in the group is read each scenario out loud, so everybody in the group hears it. And then begin the process of each of you saying, my choice would be, and know why you would make that choice out of these four. Are there other scenarios? Of course there are. There's probably a dozen more. But these four seem to resonate with history and with our situation. So that's why we're using them today. Okay?
We'll just make sure everybody has a chance to have one in their hand and read for a moment before we all go moving.
Yep. Everybody got one?
All right, we just want to give you a minute of quiet to read.
We didn't talk about what happens when they come back. Should we do that, or are you going to ground them before we do it? We'll just leave that one.
We can leave that one and come back.
I think so.
Or did you want to do something together?
I think make your choice. We'll come back, be prepared to explain the agenda, and then we'll do a bigger reflection. Yeah, just give them another couple of minutes maybe, and then, because we don't have that much time. Right? What do you think, 20 minutes?
The same thing.
25. 25. Yeah, because they got a little travel time.
Yeah.
All right, I realize everybody reads at different paces, but hopefully you'll have a chance to read it all out loud when you're in group, so I'm going to interrupt your reading just to kind of ground us for a moment. Just a couple safe space things. Recognize, please, that everybody in your group is coming from a completely different lived experience, a different set of privileges, a different set of perhaps trauma, a different set of cultural experiences they're working from within, and recognize that when people speak from their experience, they're just speaking from their experience, right? I also want to invite us not to expect people to speak for everybody else who looks like them, but just for themselves. Listen to learn, not for the chance to get your point in, right? And if you're generally somebody who leans in and does all the talking, make sure you also sometimes lean back. And if you're generally somebody who lurks back, make sure you take your opportunity to get in. These are just how we have good, productive conversations. And I also want to invite us all just to take a nice, big, deep breath. I can't talk. A nice, big, deep breath together. You knew what I meant. I heard you. And then an exhale. And then a better one where I'm not stumbling. And then a nice long one. Okay, and now I'm just going to tell the groups where to go to speed up you all finding each other.
Can I say two things
Yes.
to just affirm what you said? Please, in your group, take the responsibility that every voice gets a chance to be heard. And again, you all have to agree on one of the scenarios. And you have to come, when you come back in, you'll explain why you chose that scenario. And if somebody objects, that's okay, that can be vocalized, but for this moment, you get to say, I would do, but I can live with this choice. Because I think that's going to be part of the reality that we'll be confronted with. There'll be some choices, okay? So agree, explain why, live with it.
When you come back, which will be in about 25 minutes, and I'll come right around and give you all reminders when time's getting close. When you come back, we're going to invite you to use a Post-it to indicate, or more than one if you need, to indicate which one of them you chose, and feel free to use the Post-it to write some comments on the experience. We'll also share out loud in the room together, okay? So now I'm just going to map. And I think this isn't big enough for us all to do it, or we're going to hurt our eardrums, right? So we're going to use some of the lobby, right? So I want to suggest, and you can move your chairs to do this. I want to suggest the ones go over here, the twos maybe over here, threes, fours, fives, sixes. Got it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The sevens out in the lobby, maybe more that way, and then the 8s out in the lobby, maybe more that way, and the 9s out in the lobby, more that way. Got it? Everybody know where they're going? Okay, good luck. We'll come do this in 25 minutes.
Before you guys move, I just want to remind you there is another session going on in the main stage, so if you are out in the lobby, please be respectful as terms of volume, just say that their session as well.
Just for gotcha. Ones, twos, threes, fours, fives, sixes. Move chairs.
I didn't see you until just this moment. Here we are.
There's a chair here.
She's going to be so good.
There's a chair for you.
You too?
I'm great.
I don't know. You might have a wheelchair. Beautiful. Yeah, that'd be helpful. I don't have a name tag. I know. I'm Shannon. Yeah, she, her pronouns. Oh, lovely! That's awesome.
So I'm going to go.
Welcome.
From Illinois.
My name's Holly. I use pronouns. Laurel.
How fun.
I know. What brought you to Minneapolis?
I'm leaving at evening, and that's I'm working for.
I remembered we had these stories for Rex.
Rosie's seen scans.
Okay.
I mean, it's company.
Cool.
So I manage that. So I did arts and administration.
Option 1, license for underground
See women inspired. And I'm Lawrence, and then there's a lot of friends who dance families who grew up there. And had some work to say about months ago, so I started
Welcome. So great.
I work for a dance company, but my background is more theater. I did dance. What about you?
was music theater. Right now I'm working yeah, but my background was mostly
I'm an actor and director here, and I probably am best known for comedy, even when I work with other companies. I do create a lot of my own work, which allows me to scratch that itch. But Yeah. So we read these three. Is that? Yeah. I'm also a rule follower. I wrote read out loud. So.
Well, there are 4 of them, so you can all
Yeah. Do you want to start? Do you want to start, Holly? Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Great.
one underground covert resistance. Inspired by the salons that create underground scenes, secret art salons, disguised salons of music, you protect your network users, trust, and shared functions. Risks, isolation, burnout, state retaliation, mistrust. Relational tension. Who gets to know? Who is left out? What happens if you're wrong? Historical echoes, Soviet era descendants, writers, Chilean, archivistas, graffiti, and Nazi audio. Cultural disruption. We take the strategy of ironic mimicry that creates state-sanctioned art that appears to conform until its deeper layers reveal themselves. Use satire, double meanings, performance, and metaphor. We infiltrate public channels with critical subtext. Risk, co-optation, engineering, being misunderstood. Relational tension, and irony protect truth. Misuse messaging. Historical echoes, Dada and Michael Germany, Pussy Riot, protest theater under
Option 3, diasporic echoes. I always start with that way. Displacement and fixed trauma broadcasts. You flee. Some or all members of the collective relocate or use exiles to amplify voices and critique fellow thought. If you partner with diasporic communities, build international solidarity and want to shift narratives outside the regime's control. The risks, disconnection from home, cultural dilution, being targeted abroad, relational tension, who gets to lead, who's left behind, whose story is amplified. Historical echoes, Iranian filmmakers in exile, Palestinian, diasporic art, Chilean exile. I feel like you being here.
Okay, option 4, embody refusal to stay unmarried. We choose to stay visible, local, and defined, organizing public rituals, collective singing, art-based healing, open resistance, and participation in service. We embrace vulnerability and reclaim space through beauty and embodied presence. Risks, arrest, violence, exposure, relational tension, are we sacrificing some to make some?
That's great insight, great feedback.
Historical echoes, singing revolution in the Balkans, Mothers of the Plaza de Mayo, on
So we choose an option, but these prompts I think are really key.
I like 2. No, I mean, that's close. I mean, satire, critique, ambiguity, those are all things
I just want to make sure we're all saying, kind of like, we're all here people, but if someone wants to a secret choir.
I just like, we're within the letter of the law, really this is meant to be strong, so that's, I like Dada, so it's, right, yeah, and I mean, yeah.
So all these examples are resonating.
Yes, so Dada, so I taught people Dada was an art movement where
Are you stressing?
it starts after World War I. It's basically like saying, well, since the world doesn't make sense, art doesn't make sense, and it's just random. And so like Dada doesn't mean anything. And so they would, and this is where like came from. We're just going to cut up a magazine, make a poem out of nonsense. There was one that was this is sculpture. It's a year one's yeah, and there was a lot of performance. One of the, and then Dada kind of split into other things. There was an interview, so yeah, there's a whole world. There's more visual art and some performance, and but it was all nonsense. It was intentional, for sure. So there was a lot of, it was very playful. There was a lot of
anti-war sentiments,
without saying
without saying it exactly. Yeah. It was really successful. I'm looking at these notes.
And it was punk. I mean, it was sort of that.
So
I mean, a lot of punk was that.
For sure. Like what you were saying, no, but the visual, I think, is where it really flourished. The theater is really, we don't do Dada theater because it's
absurd.
It's just like absolutely incomprehensible. Out of context.
Running from the Eiffel Tower.
I think the challenge
I don't know that one. The only one I really know is the Gas Heart, where there's like a nose talking to an ear.
Wedding on, I think it falls under that.
Let's do it.
Yeah, there's like talking cameras and flamingos, and there's supposed to be a wedding.
As the king.
I like that.
I feel like social is already my current practice, which is what we've just been talking about.
Oh, I didn't realize that's what it was called. Thank you.
I feel like it's what I do in practice, but I often feel it's I have friends who practice embodiment mental that I and that is just that's what
you have about 10 minutes left. These are your you can use
Ironically, Cultural Mirror is the only one I feel the most at this point in time feels the least effective. Partly because my husband and I have talked about it a lot. Like, for example, the early Colbert, which was, before, like, conservatives thought that he was on their side. Like, the irony did not work. Like, it's like, and for irony to have effect, there has to be a shared cultural context, which is like everything is so with all the technology, like, it's almost like everyone's contexts are so scattered that, like, irony requires, like, this shared understanding of, like, what's happening, and things are not shared anymore. So, like, you would put something that's being ironic, and, like, that's what I just noticed online. People do not get irony anymore because there's not that shared baseline of culture. Yeah, and so it's like, this is what I grew up with too. Like, I do satire and comedy, like, I love that. But I also grew up doing satire and comedy in very culturally specific places where it was so effective because everyone knew what you were talking about. And so then there's that shared experience of, oh yeah, we know this thing that you're talking about, that's why it's so funny, because we all share this. And
yeah, but there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot. I think there's less of that.
Yeah, and so for me,
so nobody wants to say anything. I mean, I gave up comedy.
Yeah.
Pretty much snark is all I have. And, I don't want to argue with people I don't agree with. So, shut up,
It's been like 1 in 4 or most. 1 in 4 is like relate the most to me. 3 is like one that I feel like I could be happy with, but would be I could live with. But mostly because 4 is actually, this is more my personality, because I tend to be someone who starts to see all the stuff going on underneath everything and get really frustrated that, like, no one else is pointing it out, or that people are just living in a way to ignore it. And so that's what, it's also the most terrifying. But to me, our effectiveness level, especially now, when everything is going into a state of, like, heightened fear, like, and this is the one I feel like both the most excited and me as well.
Yeah. I feel, like I said, I feel so much respect. I have a friend
front-facing sign organization, and I looked at him and said, "You're a radical." I don't know.
I just feel like we don't have that much time. And I feel like a guiding question is something that is like getting into.
I wish.
Are we deciding?
I wish I was that brave.
And like this is high more somewhere in the
Just about it every day.
Are we deciding?
I would say, and then I'll be done with mine, because I actually called the political organizations and asked if they were like interested in organizing or like public organizations, because like that's we need to keep momentum going these places and read so that we have that piece. But for me, it was like I could do that if I had groups. Like doing that by myself is easier. Anyway, that's what I say on that. And one is if I got too scared, he was like, "We'll do it underground." We'll have our secret parties and we'll have our secret resistance doing the same things you're doing before, but just underground. That's my thought.
That was under a different level. You know, they always wore masks.
Yeah.
And so it was public. And then, you know,
Be for big head.
yeah, so I mean, right, and the whole yeah.
Yeah, so much of what you were saying, Laurel, I just was nodding to what you were saying, Holly, about seeing people doing this very public, you know, front-facing, and it's so inspiring, but also, oh, okay, how does and so, the thing about Option 4 that I think is so, it's I'll use an example of, say, like, the Me Too movement, right? If 3 people come forward, then maybe the 27 more will come forward, and maybe the 85 more will come forward, and suddenly we have 200, you know? I think so often, it's that fear of everyone, there are so many options, so many things that are pulling at people that you think, I'm going to stand and I'll be absolutely alone. And I think that's why I wasn't a 9 or 10 freaking out. I do believe that, well, one, I can't live with them. I wouldn't be here today. I mean, I just seriously wouldn't be. But also, they will come. I believe that. You know, that might sound, but I do believe it. So it's holding the line is not necessarily. Yeah, I'm out of breath talking about it. I do think that there would be a lot.
Yeah. And it's interesting this is feeling like to me this is like the image I actually get is like or like you know Furry Gully.
Yes, I love that movie. That's like one of my favorites as a child. When I watched it recently, and I was like, oh my god, that's hardcore.
Yeah, it's like what I see this as is when Krista takes that little seed and Hexus swallows her, but then instead he starts like all the things start growing out of Hexus, like and then he actually starts turning into the land because like the land got put back into him, and so that's what I don't think it's like holding the line. That to me sounds like we're tense and like, whereas all the examples here are actually about like bringing life forward and like. So to me, why this like appeals to me so much is it's like being a dramatic person. It's like it's all of that vibrancy. It's kind of this like fuck you and you. Like we will not. It's like to me, it's like life saying fuck you to this. I'm gonna be brilliant. I'm gonna be vibrant. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna fucking swallow it eventually. Like it may not happen in the moment. Maybe Krista being swallowed is a long time, relatively. But then it's like all of this starts to bloom and blossom, and it can happen underground too. But that's what it's, I just can draw. At least
yeah, my practice to option 2. But yeah, well, I mean, I like, vulnerability, playing skills, even without your presence. Yeah, I think the headline body difference sounds great.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt me at all.
I think of like Alexander Navalny. He's not an artist, but so Russia was resisting it's like, that is miserable, you know? So, yeah, I mean, things are possible, and if it is a collective, it's something.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important.
Yeah.
Thinking about living with it, I feel like such a life shift for what I do. Currently, I feel like God is and so I know that I'm considering with this, but I'm
Embrace vulnerability.
Well,
is
I
such
mean,
a
those circumstances, I mean, today, you know, this is always been right? You know, like to make a point, and I guess it's well, nobody was impressed. You know, I mean, not the government.
Yeah.
Snotty teens.
not being allowed to use the bathrooms, you know, in the club.
Yeah, so I think that was...
Yeah, the spirit of that. Fuck you, Mom.
It was about the deficit.
Teachers are mean.
Yeah.
No, but you really did. I'm looking at this language in option 4, and I'm very reclaiming space. It's like my shoulders go down a little.
This one also reminds me, but it also speaks to emotional.
Yeah.
It's also like, for me, it's especially deal with a lot of like subtle disorders, like maybe people like all whatever much bigger, and I'm like, well, if it's coming anyway, how do I want to live? Just like, do I want to live? Just kind of, and it's like, there's something, it's like this joyful rebellion. It's just like, fuck it, I'm gonna make this as beautiful and vulnerable and pleasurable and like life-filled as I can. Not even just out of the opposition, because that's what we are. That's what I am. That's what everyone is. Anybody thoughts on it?
I'm curious about the second point. What forms of care? I'm so sorry. Oh no, that is the one. What forms of care are needed to sustain
support. Right now. Talking about how everybody lives in their but you know what I mean? Like there are different
Also, I think I have found that like a lot of kids are wondering, like collective singing, art making, that you're actually doing the care by doing the work, like actually.
His beauty will hold fire. Do you believe that? I really think we wouldn't work where we work and do the things we do.
Well, yeah, I mean, so what you were saying, yeah, I mean, just that you can actually, no, I mean, like, I'm not saying, like, I'll sing a song, you know.
Well, it's when I think of like some of the 1960s civil rights, it was like especially in African American groups, there was like singing, like spiritual worship, and like that was actually what sustained us. It was like these practices together. She was worried about modern, social justice, that she was just worried that we didn't have that like spiritual and collective support for their work that they would get burned out because they didn't have. That's what I think. I can sustain a lot of this very
Sacrificing some to make more. I think it's such an interesting question.
Yes, and I also think what I would do is because that's 20 years ago. With this huge conversation about white folks and British folks standing at the front of the line. That was something that
Yeah.
like been at risk already. I'm just feeling like that's like
Yeah.
risk.
Yeah.
And I find that when there's all this
When you combine the spiritual with the artistic, there is that you meld into that space of that oneness kind of feeling, and like this is like this, and you feel that your body holding you. So it isn't just I'm all alone.
it's not funny, and you know why I laugh.
But I mean, that is the more, you know,
Yeah.
sustained by
Taking a step forward. Yeah, I've just been studying a lot more about like indigenous song and dance practices, and like from my culture and other cultures, like and that's like the choice of defines and they're just trying to get into colonialism and taking them away because that's how they control people.
It's like we always call these young adults slash kids, you know, who would put their headphones on and dance in front of the really, really mean protesters at Redwood, and they would just be like,
I love it.
And it helped because it was such vitriol, it was so scary. When I worked some of those events, like, they were just scary. They're yelling words, and then there's these delightful, I just put beauty will close, more will come to the line. I didn't know what else. I was trying to grab, and I just put group support. Oh, group support.
And I don't know if relating it back that we have like barbecues and flowers in his name all the circles. That's like a place that any day of the week you can go to and they feed you and show the activities that you can do and we sit in the sun and have you. But I mean, eventually it was swallowed by the city and
George Floyd Square.
yeah. So, but I remember that being so like,
You're still in a circle. You have to get back in the room.
I know.
I'm the bad fairy coming to tell you. You have to make room.
thank you for that comment.
I was different bed then. Okay, so
That's you thinking of basketball.
You want to?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Part of what you choose. You'll find it around the tree.
I want to know.
It's so optional.
I can tell you.
we're together. Whatever's easy. And the logistics are challenging. Just, yeah. And you're not going to be expected to come up as a group of four and make a presentation. So.
I think that. Oh, I'm not going to get there.
I want to see that. Wow. Look at this. Look at this illustration. Wow. Appropriate.
I know.
I leaned forward. I'm still a little bit too.
Well, this will be really interesting because there's a large concentration around embodied refusal. All right. Yeah, there's chairs.
We're going to talk for a little while. So let's
Yeah. So, but everybody might not have the same understanding or appreciation of that and of the risks that go with that and so forth. So, is there a group that would like to go first to say why you made that choice, what your thinking was, and some of the implications for you? Anybody ready to go?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, yeah, speak on it.
And what group number were you? Just so
6.
Yeah, you were 6. All right. Tell me your name, please.
I'm Matt.
Maddie.
Ben. Yeah, Ben. 2 Ben's Matt.
All right.
Hi. I'm just putting things down so people can sit if they want like that. Keep talking, right?
We made a couple of assumptions. One is that we have a small to medium arts organization because none of us would think it's a larger arts organization. We're assuming that this is now, today in history, and not 6 months from now. Because our decision might be very different about it.
It will be, yeah.
So we, assuming we're small, we establish our line now at 4 with resources allotted to pivot to 2 and then 1 as necessary, especially to protect the future leaders of the organization if the organization is stopped in its tracks. Yeah, that was kind of.
Yeah, we kind of talked
Stand
about
up. Stand up.
talked about
Future
how
leaders.
how right now this feels very possible and accessible from our lived experience. But as time goes on, we would want to make sure that there was a little bit of a break glass in case of an emergency type of situation that would allow the work and the values and the art to go forward, even if that meant that it couldn't be the same people in charge in order to keep that going. And how, in case of violence in whatever form that would take, we would want to make sure that there were plans in place that the values of the organization could keep moving forward. Would you say that's correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that is, what is the organization?
My
Your real organization?
New Native Theater.
Yeah. Ben was saying it would probably make a different choice for your theater.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about whether the choice is kind of being made for them.
Ben, do you want to say more about that?
So New Native Theater, it is very community oriented. The majority of our audience actually is of the urban Native community.
Yeah.
Our actors are of South Minneapolis and St. Paul area. And so that if we're in the situation right here, I can see us being more trying to create art for a community while for it being around in like the Little corridor and places like that would help them. Basically, it's keeping that in mind, but not so much like a trying to get an audience. We have a certain audience we're already catering to, and that's very important to us to keep that going. So we're supporting them; they're not supporting us. So,
So there's an interesting thread in here I'm just going to call out, then we're going to move on. But an interesting thread in here is going back to what you started with, Ben. Hold the line now, but build capacity and get ready for the future, whatever the break glass is. So I think practical questions, I don't want you to answer that right now, would be, what does that mean in practice? What would we do? What do we need to know? What capacities do we need to have? What resources, people, or connections to actually not only hold the line, but get ready for the future? I think that's a living question, and I'm glad you guys brought it up. Thank you for that. Okay, number 2. We're going to go on right now. Number 2. Next group.
Oh, option 2, you mean?
Well, whoever's ready. I mean,
Group number 2.
do group number 2. Yeah.
That's our group. Ours.
Group number 2. Stand up.
It's a group, all of us?
Sure. Spokespeople. Why don't you go up there? That'd be great. Why not? Yeah.
Our conversation started in
Now, name out loud. Which one are you? Which group?
You're over here.
You're there. Okay.
Group 2 is over there. We had an interesting conversation because we were speaking about like where we feel like we currently stand versus where we would want to do work. And we were all kind of resonating with this as like a approach that has worked in the past because there have been like monocultures, but now at a point where like people don't even understand each other anymore, this doesn't feel like it works. So,
And you made it really, I think it was Colbert.
oh yeah.
You know, the original, his original show where he sort of claims right-wing that, I mean, you talk about the satire, a lot of people missed it, right?
Yeah, like just how for me right now, the culture is starting to get so fractured that a lot of satire requires a common understanding that then you're like, oh, we're mocking the common understanding, but everyone is like in such, things are becoming so fractured right now that like people, I just noticed like people don't get sarcasm anymore because there's not that shared understanding of a shared reality.
So bring that back to your choice.
So this feels like it is not as effective, or, you know.
So you thought about that one, but not now.
Yes.
So go on, talk about more about that choice, embodied refusal.
We came to this one, and well, we started, I was sort of just, the headline turned me off. And then we kind of got into reading, like, what does it say? Embrace vulnerability, reclaim space through beauty, embody presence. It's like, oh, I like that, you know.
We use the analogy. I didn't like holding the line because when I read these things, it doesn't sound like holding the line activities to me. They actually sound like flourishing activities to me, and creating a state of like artistic and emotional flourishing, even in the state of vulnerability. On a personal level, deeply appeals to me. That's why we all do what we do. We discuss like that's why we're in these businesses and professions that we are. And that to be able to maintain that, though, that was the big thing that we realized the terror around number 4 was in feeling alone, was in feeling exposed and alone. But when we talked about, when we're doing group ritual, group theater, it's not so terrifying, and that is the renewal, is like actually participating.
That's care work.
Yeah, the care to maintain that's how 4 became maintainable theoretically for us was, well, if we're doing this with other people and we're sharing this vulnerability, that becomes a lot more, you know, that there's a lot more hope in that than I have to go up by myself and like put myself on the sacrifice.
Yeah.
And the line can look so different. I was sharing that Solidarity Day with Planned Parenthood, there would be on one side really frightening and, you know, protest against reproductive rights with scary posters and really cruel language. And there would be this group of young people, I call them young people because they were just children really with their headphones, and then they would just dance in front of them. And you look at that and you think, you look at that and you think that's so beautiful, or that's, you know.
Sinful.
I absolutely get to that. But I think that it is holding the line, and I think it's incredibly brave, and I think that they were very vulnerable, but they were together, and that bravery in the face of that joy, I think sometimes our brains don't call it for what it is. They were protesting in a very valid way.
And let's just hang on, a key piece of what you've read that I'm sure is shared by all of us in many ways, which is it's going to be community that takes us forward.
Yeah.
You mentioned the fear is loneliness, like we're too far out there, who's with us, is anybody with us, who's got all that? Absolutely, we're going to have to confront that going forward. So I'm going to draw the line on yours right now.
Thank you.
Thank you for that, that's great. So group 3, pop on up here, what you got?
We went with 2.
We've got these to share.
We went with 2, prepping for 4.
Absolutely.
I think we were looking at it more as a future scenario rather than a realistic one right now.
I was jump on that. I was definitely thinking of it if things go really, really bad.
Yeah.
Like I agree that this makes a lot of sense right now.
Yeah.
This was we were kind of imagining.
Yeah. And we also talked about, we talked about what we would do, what we would realistically do versus our higher ideal of what we thought we could do.
Yeah.
And it's like, we all said, like, we want to be informed, but I know that, like, I don't know if I would have the capacity, if I would have, you know, I'd have too much fear. And it's like, you can step forward, but if you step forward immediately and they take you out, what good did your resistance do? So I was like, if we are able to use our brains and be clever about it, and that whole, like, if it gets so bad that it doesn't matter anymore, then we can go to 4. Andrew held up for 4. For sure. But I feel like that was a big part of, like, putting on your own oxygen mask first to be able to stay and not fall so quickly, I guess.
I've felt like in the prompts, advocating for 4, but then conceding to the group is the medium is the message, right? So within us, internally, we're trusting each other, we're showing up for each other, all of those prompts are being addressed. But for me, the accountability was the glaring thing, is that for myself as an artist of conscience, to not be doing 4, to not be as vocal, particularly as a cis white male in the 50s, to using my privilege as strongly as possible. You know, and I'll end with this. I said this to the group, is that I've been reading Gulag Archipelago, Solzhenitsyn, and the recurring kind of theme is that the minute that the masked men show up, that's when you scream and fight as loud as you possibly can, because once they get you behind that door, it's over, and all you're left with is, why didn't I fight? So, you know, this, it's tough. The compassion for the self, the accountability to yourself. If they're sending people to El Salvador, and that person is already there, and then I get sent there a year from now, and I'm in the cell with that person, what did I do? Knowing they were there now. And about 2 years, I kind of puddled around. You know what I mean? Like, that's my conscience is what.
You may have noticed I'm an older white guy myself. But I think you guys are reflecting an important part of the conversation that we're all going to continue to have, which is, how much risk do I take? How vulnerable can I be? Because I want to keep going. You know, so it's not only what big loud things I do right now, but can I be tactically smart? What can I do? We've got some resources to share with you following this, but I will reflect one thing that we learned in the late 50s, early 60s. I actually remember those years. One of the things that sustained the civil rights movement were schools that were called freedom schools, where we learned nonviolent disruption, interruption, inactivity. I don't know where that's going on right now, but I know people who are thinking about creating citizen schools, because be a citizen in the broadest sense. I don't care how you're here or whatever the paperwork is. Learn what our rights are, manifest them, but in tactically, practically smart ways. Right? We're going to fuck this system up. And that's another academic term again. Okay, thanks you guys. Let's go to 3.
4.
I'm sorry, 4. Come on up. Yep. All right. What was your choice? And tell us about it.
Well, we picked 4. And I think that the best sort of explanation is we felt a lot of accountability as sort of people in a group that was largely white, of a certain level of privilege. I mean, our group was just completely white, but you know, the room here is also lending to a largely white demographic. We just felt they're accountable for a significant amount of privilege. There are definitely populations that might have to go with 3 for safety, but that also comes with a certain amount of privilege of being able to free yourself into exile. We thought that the long-standing companies, Guthrie, Theater Brown, places with buildings, and are going to have to go to. And so we really, I don't know, this is maybe my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, but like we sort of felt like we had no choice but to go 4 right now.
I want to, you're saying yourself that this is a group decision, right? You guys are all okay with this? Correct. Correct. Okay. Okay. So other voices, just what was your thinking as you chose that one?
I think that last piece, like you were mentioning this, that like we're already seeing, if you take money from the public foundations, et cetera, you're going to have to be a certain level of politics, right? And so there's freedom if you're, and responsibility if you don't, right? And Yeah, I think we were also very much, the other group said this, talking about this moment. This is a like, let's hold the line for now. We know that there's people that might need to do this, and we know we might need to do this, but this feels like 10 years into an authoritarian regime.
And I think we had a different perspective than the last group in terms of the long arc of this, which is that we felt that we might not be able to do number 4 forever. That now is still a time where we feel like we're at a point before things have gone so bad and we are so far deep that we wouldn't be able to pull something like that off. So we should do this now.
Keep the long story in mind, yeah. Sorry.
As opposed to option 1, which we felt like if that was a much deeper state of authoritarianism, that option often leads to isolation and a lack of trust, as opposed to for in our state, so much of us have a background in grassroots theater and theater education about how do we build visible community for those who cannot stand at the forefront.
Well, and just to reinforce your thinking there, which I think is really helpful, beneath every possible choice you saw some historical references and some links. You can fill that in and develop that more yourselves. There's a lot more out there. But people in the situation that we're in make the best choice they can at that time. So I think part of the challenge that I hear you basically saying to us is understand where we are right now so we can do the best we can to hopefully disrupt what might be coming.
We think you need all 4 at various moments.
Yeah.
And an
Okay, more to say about this.
ecosystem
Let's
of
go
different
next group.
organizations
Yeah.
doing different
So we're up
things.
to 5, right?
If everyone's doing
Number 5,
it's
come on up.
Yep. Hopeful.
Well done, well done.
Good. What? So we are in the number 4 zone. We had some really interesting discussions about, again, the same thing everybody's talking about what does it mean now to do these things and what types of people are available and types of things that can be said. We did have a couple of us that have some two influence, but also knowing that that's a very different type of tactic at this point. And when we're talking about what it means to be number 4, it's just that we have the availability and there's voices that can participate in this. And it's interesting to hear what people were talking about from a smaller organizational standpoint, or thinking of it. I think we were talking more about large, like reaching out to more of the population and developing activities that are much more, who said this, taking over the highway? What was it?
Yeah, shut it down.
Shut it down.
Like, I mean, we're talking about environments and such here and there, about what is the venue for an embodied refusal and such. And if we're at the point, and I believe, like, hearing everyone and seeing this, we're primed, we're ready. I think that, like, if you can do highways, just that's the tactic, or at least that is an option. Yeah.
Well, I mean, basically, like, it was about, for us, or me and our group, I think, too, but about wider outreach, more people, more communities, high visibility, so getting lots of voices, lots of bodies in a space. We kind of use, like, No King's Day as an example. Like, that was a huge effort that took a lot of different communities, and it had a lot of visibility and impact because of that. So more pooled resources to have big impact.
Anything?
I don't know that, I'm good.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting, I've talked about this before with other situations, but it's like, we have all these organizations, we all get funding, and there's this sort of like,
Oh, that was an interesting point. Yeah, basically like the politics in
small groups of competing for public funding and how that can result in atomization. Whereas I think if we're going with number 4, that's a difficult thing to square. Like that feels a lot like, yeah. Like what do the organizations that don't get public funding do? What do the organizations that choose to divest from public funding do, specifically with one another rather than individually?
Well, you touch on something, you guys are the first ones to say it out loud, it's probably been on everybody's mind, but money.
Yeah.
Where does money come from, and what does it support, and what kinds of strings are attached to it over time? And we know the money from the federal level down to the state level, and the NEA's regional councils and so forth, is just going to go like this. We know for a fact what they want. Next year, by the way, 2026 is the 250th anniversary of the American establishment as we know it. We know what kind of celebration they want. And I'm interested in the people's celebration of America as a whole other agenda. But we know what the National Socialist Party did with their cultural institutions, and that is happening to the Kennedy Center right now. So thinking about where does money come from, what are the strings attached to, how do we get it, and how do we continue to support this? Yes, major question. What they want is we'll fight with each other over $1. Right? Let's not do that. Okay, thank you guys. Next group, we're up to 6.
We went first.
So what? 6 is already gone, okay? Really?
Yeah, 6 was the first group that went.
Oh, gotcha,
Oh, I
okay.
thought 1 went first.
7. Then number 7. They volunteered. Yeah.
Right? No, we chose 4.
You just volunteered.
Yeah, we just volunteered.
Okay, take it away, guys. Which choice did you make?
We picked option number 1. After, I think, a long discussion, going over pros and cons of all the options, we talked a lot about option number 4. That was, I think, as individuals, let me know if I'm putting words in your mouth, but most of us felt that that was what we would choose for ourselves. But thinking with community in mind, with protection of vulnerable people in the community, people's children, people that you are a caretaker for, people who are already being deeply targeted. With that in mind, we felt that option 1 was one that we could all live with, and would be probably the best alternative to option. Thank you.
Say more.
I think while this, I feel like this isn't something we explicitly talked about. It comes up hearing other groups share that this did feel like a projecting ahead conversation, and that I feel like as especially like family members or young people or people's children came up in conversation, that also felt like an anticipated concern or like an understandably like easily imagined concern.
But also sorry, go ahead. I was just going to say, keeping in mind that there are populations that are already extremely vulnerable at this moment.
Some of these things are already, I mean, when you look at the scenario, it says people being detained or disappearing, that's already happening.
That's
I mean, we're already there.
That's right.
So,
And then we discussed what we thought was the most effective. And, you know, if you have to leave, you have to leave, but whether that would be an effective resistance tactic. And somebody already said that number 2, what if people don't actually get what you're doing and saying? I had the experience of being in Eastern Europe after the Iron Curtain fell, and a lot of people I talked to spoke about this aspect of sharing things quietly and everything having so much charge. And there's 2 parts to it, right? You can feel isolated and not touch a large community, but you can also feel more connected to people because you're sharing risk. And so that can build a lot of power and community within that model. But yeah, you said it well. Like everyone wanted to say that, but projecting into the forward, this would be potentially effective in building a sense of community and also protecting people.
Yeah, underground weaving, there's a reason why we put the word weaving in there, is about connections and relationships. So Alan, thank you for bringing that up. And you guys also say again, and I think we need to highlight this, the level of risk that people are willing and able to take varies enormously by your gender, your position, your income, your status, your color, and a whole bunch of other things. So just being honest with each other, we're not judging, we're just saying, make a choice.
It's also worth saying, like, there's a difference between what you might do as an artist and the people of your community-based company that you're working with, and trying to find a way to, as you said, serve them.
Exactly.
Exactly. But all, you know, all of them have their pros and cons. And they're all bad options because it's a bad option.
Option buffet. Yes.
That's 7.
Yes, now we should go to 8.
Number 8, come on down. Or up, or wherever we are.
Come on down as the price is right.
And please take it away. Is it you, Sophie, or who?
No, Nico. Fine. Yes, we're in group 4. A lot of what we had some really interesting conversations, and everyone agreed 25 minutes was not enough time. But we also started the discussion, okay, is this down the road or is this right now? And that's really why we landed on that one, is because it was stuff we could do right now. I disagreed with my teammates. We were talking about, well, we're not there yet. I think we're there yet. I think we are there right now as opposed to bad things happening. So that's why this seemed much more here and now, as opposed to, you know, when we are going to have armed soldiers on every street, which again maybe takes us to another level.
Share some more of your thinking. Go ahead.
I feel like we kind of started with like what was our big responses to them first, and we were like, what's the one we don't want to do? And I feel like 1, 2, and 3 was on at least one person's list. And yeah, I mean, our conversation was a lot on 4 about risk. A lot of it was like, well, what if I can't get arrested? Like, what does that mean? And so I sort of tried to pitch a proposal where I was like, okay, imagine this, right? Imagine we're doing a skit at Costco, right? There are people who had to direct that skit. There are like the active people who were there that day who may get arrested. If they can self-select into that group, there's also some people on the side who are maybe recording, who are just shoppers at Costco, right? That's maybe a less risky position they could be in. And so I kind of offered that as like, how do we think about the different roles of risk and allow people avenues to sort of self-select into what that risk is. And that felt like sort of the compromise, I think, that got us to like, okay, I think we could do 4. I think maybe we could get there.
Did you want to say something?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Part of my input that I wanted to, or that we discussed, was the historical nature of the period that we're in, and that I brought to it that there are the class issues that are of paramount importance or that are coming to the fore, and the need to use, that I would like to be seeing theater used to awaken the working class to this historic period that we're in, and that it isn't a matter of, we all agree that the powers that be are going to change their stripes, and appealing to them to, you know, change, that we're in a pre-revolutionary period to make people aware of that we need to start organizing in our communities, and that we want to have democracy, that's what our struggle, you know, internationally, collectively as a community, and reaching out to the working class with that message. So that's my input to that.
Yeah, I think the one other thing I'll share is we did talk a bit about the timeline, sort of like the 12 to 18 months that it takes dictatorships and authoritarian regimes to consolidate their power, and that we're in that 12 to 18 months right now. And so being able to, like, you know, are some of these giving in to assuming they have more consolidated power than they do? And feeling like embodied refusal was the place where it was like, I think this is a place where we can disrupt that power hoarding that they're attempting right now in ways that are like a little bit more public.
All right, thank you guys. That's great. Thank you.
Group 9.
Yep.
And then we gotta leave time for group 1.
Number 9. Number 9.
I can feel one going, we're gonna get left out.
And what was your choice? And tell us about it.
Did 4. Look, I mean, I could say just off the bat, looking at our group, we could make the assumption that we have a constituency that's multicultural or multiracial. And that means we can assume that there's an ability to tier risk levels. I feel like that was like a big closing thing.
Say some more, please.
Yeah, for me, it was like, I'm thinking in a collective way, where when I think if I'm in charge of we're in charge of a theater company, I am also going to be looking at our donors. I'm going to be looking at our audience. I'm going to be looking at the people who have donated, ones who care about our organization, maybe can't always come, and like how we can tap into them to be at the front lines. And then that's kind of how we were talking about even Latinos, Hispanic people who might be detained, but they do have paperwork that they might be detained for 2 to 3 months, but they're at some point, hopefully they're still let go, or a year or whatever, versus other people being displaced in another place. So there's still privilege within people who are being oppressed. And so it's not like black and white to me.
Anything else?
A reason?
Yeah. I want to emphasize something that, oh, I'm sorry, were you going to speak?
No, go ahead. A reason about like youth and like the people who take the most risk.
Oh, yeah. We're just saying, like, we felt that the amount of activism we see among the youth these days is really at a prominent spike of engagement. And I think that there's a lot in that we feel like across the board, across the whole country, we wouldn't be alone in choosing option 4.
Yeah. Cool. You guys emphasize something that I think is really important, which is who are we actually in relationship with? And I think a way to think about going forward is how can we deepen relationships? A phrase that I learned from somebody else that I love and I try to do my work in is first the relationship, then a program. Because everybody in here can design a program in like 5 minutes. You know, purpose, action steps, a budget, a brochure, a marketing plan, do that. Who are we actually in relationship with right now? And how can we deepen this going forward? Whatever choice you made up here. That's why I love it you guys are all in this room together right now and doing the work that you do. Thanks, guys.
Actually, on what you were just saying, one scenario that I was trying to, we were looking through the scenario, I'm trying to think of specifics that would have something like this. And just discussing risk with my group. It's a bit about some artists are being detained and disappearing. You know, a situation I was thinking about was if you had a company that had a large number of the people on the staff and the actors were Hispanic, and the large part of the audience was also Hispanic as well. To then put on a theater piece that spoke to some of the concerns, that's a relationship again now between the audience, could put those audience members, as everybody actually, at risk at an ICE raid, come and take them away. And the question is, what do you do? Do you still want to go with 4? I have leaned towards 2, but one of the things that with a 4 is if, as you're building this, if you have outreach towards other demographics, other populations that will have your back on that. It's like 2 things. You're also reaching out to your audience in 2 ways. People who might be at most at risk, but then the people who are not at risk.
Yeah. Good points. Good points. Again, the question of deepening, strengthening relationships. And a question I always like to ask myself in groups I work with is, who are we not talking to? Who am I not talking to? Because I make an assumption about them, or I'm too busy, or whatever, I'm ignorant. Who am I not talking to? Especially now, when they want us to be separated. and arguing with each other. All right? Ain't going. Thanks, you guys. Thanks a lot. That's great.
Group number 1. Last group.
Hey, before these guys go, are you okay if we're supposed to end at like 3? Can you stay like another 5 minutes, 6 minutes? We got some ideas and resources to share. Thank you. Okay, take it away.
All right. We chose number 2, and I think the consensus was like half the people were 4, but I could live with 2, and the other, like the rest of the other 2 of us were like 2, but maybe 4. So yeah, there was some talking through. I think one of the things that came up, especially that made me personally lean towards 2, was the subversiveness of it and the thinking about using state resources. So the idea of using state resources against the state in a subversive way, and somebody said Colbert already, and that was certainly prominent for us, of a way to use our current privilege and position and to fight the power from within. So that's where we landed. If anyone else wants to speak to all that.
Yeah, I feel like 4, we are at a level 4. I feel like 4 tries to get to people who are leaning so far one way, where I feel like 2 could get through to people who are in the middle. And that's like you said, we're trying to think about who are we not talking to. So.
There were questions of risk. And on the one hand, the physical risk at 65 of being out and vulnerable, and at the same time, I simply want to be standing with a sign and shouting at audiences to change everything. And do it now, and why haven't we already? There's somewhere in between. I don't want to physically be hurt. I admit to being not, pain averse. But at the same time, I was crying with something you said early on about the activism of any performance. So I was doing Shakespeare in the Park this summer. It's not revolutionary. It was me doing Shakespeare. We weren't changing the world, but I felt really dangerous to be in the park, public and available in case anybody came by with a gun. And the availability of that anywhere means that, that reality now means that 4 and 2 aren't that distant from one another.
Well, you make a couple of really good points that I just want to affirm again. I mean, we have to, and it's hard, because part of me just wants to hide under my bed and order from Amazon or food delivery or something, but I can't. And to see what is actually happening, not just from this regime at this point, but the level of gun violence and all the other things that we can talk about, the epidemic of loneliness, which has been documented, the fragmentation, all of this is true right now. Okay, I get it, that's true. Do this work. Do the work you're doing. And there's a whole spectrum of choices. I mean, we had 4 scenarios up here. We're going to share some resources because I want to challenge us to deepen our thinking and our learning as we keep walking forward, hopefully more and more together as we go through this. So, thanks you guys. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. I love it. Okay. We're handing out a couple of, a page with some resources on it. One I want to really call out, because I've been on a couple of their webinars. Anybody know about the U.S. Department of Arts and Culture? Yeah? Raise your hand if you do. Yeah? Great. Not have anything to do with the government. It's people-powered. I've known a few people involved with it. They are an immense body of excellent resources of thinking through how to organize, how to connect. They are national, they are growing. We got a link in here, I check it out. A good friend of mine, I bet a lot of you guys know, Bill Cleveland, he's been in this town a lot. Incredible podcast, linking people with change and connections all over. You can sign up for that, I think it's really good. And then one of my favorites, one of the best we have in the world is living right here in town, Ricardo Levins Morales' book, The Land, right? This is a practical resource and primer for long-term work. And I think we're in this for the long term. It's not one demonstration or one workshop. I'm 82 years old, so I don't know how many fucking long terms I got. I'm in it, okay? So Ricardo has this, but I want to make another point which is even stronger. I have 2 of these to give away. His organizing pamphlet. That you can see it, the artwork is really good, but lessons for organizing, tending the soil. One way I think about my own work is I might do a lot of work that doesn't seem to have an immediate result, but I'm creating the soil, I'm nurturing the culture from which the next world is going to grow. There's a famous Langston Hughes poem, "The America that never was, the America that is not yet, but the America that needs to be." So I want to keep working on that. It ain't here. It's always been imperfect. We can talk about all of that, how bad it was, this and that. Yes, all of that is true, and it needs to be. So I have 2 of these to give away if anybody wants them. And then Ricardo Levins Morales is an incredible resource. He lives here in town. What a resource. And then one other that, you know, Sophie and I have actually wrestled with a little bit. Also from here in town, The Quaking of America. Rico McCackham's incredibly powerful book. So incredible resources and more to share. And there's a few more on here as well. And also on here is the primer on tyranny. How many of you have on tyranny already? If you don't have it, get it. And read it out loud and share it. It's not like a book where you're like, oh yeah, I've read it. No. Read it out loud with other people and share it. This is a way to build relationships and deepen knowledge. And to ask ourselves, is this one happening? Is this one happening? Some of you who've read this, remember what is the first lesson that he says in here? Number 1 lesson, remember it? Okay, the first lesson is don't obey in advance. And are we seeing this happening? People capitulate, we silence ourselves, a major corporation gives in, I need say no more, don't obey in advance. He's here on tyranny, get the book, okay? And Kat, you've got a few things you wanted to share, is that right? Be loud, Kat, be loud.
There's a group in town called Unidos, and they have something called the Monarca Rapid Response, which is a way to get on a text message system so you support them to our neighbors. And at Red Eye Theater on September 8th in the evening, there's going to be a rapid response training. There's no like posters or anything about it yet, but I happen to have the inside knowledge. So keep your eyes out for Red Eye Theater, September 8th. I think it's a Monday. There's a rapid response training. So if you've been wanting to do this and you want to do it in a space that's like more feels like home amongst artists, it's a really good opportunity. Keep your eyes out for that. And then the second thing is if you've never done anything like we're talking about in number 4, or if you've been doing it for a while and you need some like refresh because you're getting tired, because I know I am, there's something called the Beautiful Trouble Toolbox. And you can go to beautifultrouble.org/toolbox. And what it is just like a huge lexicon of things that people have done. It just like really breaks it down to like, why don't you try this? What about that? What if you're in this category? What if you're like, if this is your issue?
Okay, put it up there.
Yeah, I'll write it up there.
Put it all
And it's
up
been
there.
around for a couple of decades, and it's been added to over the couple of decades by many artists who do work like number 4.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. Make sure that all goes up there. And something very similar to that is also in the U.S. Department of Arts and Culture, incredible tools and resources and projects. And then again, Bill Cleveland's network has incredible resources and just rich with ideas and relationships. And I'll share one other. For me, 2 personal sayings. My core is say yes to life. I'm facing a culture of death. Vaccines, healthcare, air, water. It's a concentration camps. It's a culture of death. My goal, my soul is yes to life in all its incredible manifestations. That's where I live. And the second one is I'm absolutely committed to not giving in, but to the work of creation and relationship. So it's just, my soul is filled being in this room with you guys today. And then let's see what we can all do together going forward. We're not all going to be on the same page, I don't care about that, but finding each other, figuring out ways going forward with this rich experience, including right here.
I get the last word? I get the last word. I want to point out the third poster, which I want to invite you to use as a reflection point. What do you need going forward based on what you've just discovered in yourself and amongst all of these potential allies and friends and colleagues and tiered responders and tag team when we get tired? What do you need going forward? Also, maybe what do you offer by way of resource? If you want to write something on there on your way out, we'll take some photos of all this and make sure that the folks organizing this conference get that. Maybe they can re-disseminate it. And I just want to thank all of you for entering into such a brave and uncomfortable conversation with us today. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you, guys.